we were listening to is Naomi Brennett. She's a transgender artist that Jill had heard at Common Grounds on the board. So we're going to continue our Lenten series today, A Beautiful World, What Are You Up To? And today's focus is open and affirming. So today, following worship, we're going to meet with the worship team. So if anybody is interested in what that is, we'll be back at one of the tables. And it's basically, we help plan worship, the music, the theme, visuals, and maybe you just want to help change out the altar area. Then that's fine. That's just one little piece of the puzzle is great. So just come back after worship and meet with me, and we'll see if we can get a little group together. Because we can have fun doing it together. And we don't meet that often, generally just when the seasons of the church change. So on the 28th, Safe Space and Family and Friends support groups will meet. And then Saturday, March 2nd, the Saturday cleaning crew will meet from 8 to 10. So anybody's welcome to join that. Yes, we are cleaning, but we do have fun with it too. And Jill's asking after worship if someone can help her get the keyboard and speakers and things out of her car and bring it back into church. And Jill also is going to go on a field trip today. And she can tell you a little bit about it because you are welcome to go with her.
So there is a pastor Doug Padgett, who was a pastor of, oh no, I'm going to forget the name of the church, in Minneapolis. Anyway, he is now a progressive Christian podcaster kind of guy. And he is a part of this movie called God and Country. And I don't know if you've heard of the movie God and Country, but it is, again, it's a bit of an expose of how Christianity is being all combined with this nationalism thing that is making for a dangerous presence in the world for a lot of people. And so I was curious about the movie. I'm going to be driving over to the cities today, probably leaving around 3. If anybody wants to join me, please just let me know. We can carpool if we get the equipment on my car, or whatever. But I'll have a report if nobody goes with me. So.
Are there any other announcements? Okay, so we do have our offering baskets in the back of the church. We have our general offering and then the hard hat fund for those little things that pop up around church to be fixed. So you can support the great work of our community of New Journey. So now sit back, take a deep breath, and Lily's going to ring our bells for us.
Jesus was very clear that following him might not be a smooth ride. He was bound to choose the just way, not the easy way through life. To take up the cross was to lose one's life, to let go of certain expectations of safety and acceptance in order to stand for the gospel message of love. How are we to take up the cause of Jesus, justice, righteousness, and mercy in our day? Please stand as you are able and willing to join me in our call to worship. We are in it for the long haul.
Our God is an everlasting God.
From the beginning to the end, Alpha and Omega.
We know that God is with us, now and always.
When life is difficult, we know God's presence through the love of one another.
Trust in God and lean into the love of your neighbors.
Focus your hearts and minds in this time of worship.
For in all time, things and all times, we shall praise the Lord our God. Would you pray with me, please? Gracious and loving God, you are slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love. We have joined our hearts in this time of worship, for we remember all you have done for us and all you will continue to do. In this time and space, quiet our minds, slow our hearts, and remind us that you are with us now and always. We give this time and space to be reminded of your love and grace given to us through Jesus Christ. Amen.
motivating and invigorating God. You challenge us to walk the difficult path. Show us, as Jesus did, that letting go of our own security and comfort is the only way to create space
For your justice to move over the earth. In this moment of quiet, we lift up to you those things we'd like to give up for good, for the sake of the good.
Hear assurance in what the psalmist proclaims. You who fear the Lord, praise God. All you offspring of Jacob, glorify God. Stand in awe of God. All you offspring of Israel, for God did not despise nor abhor the affliction of the afflicted. God did not hide God's face from me, but heard when I cried out. From you comes my praise in the great congregation. My vows I will pay before those who fear God. The poor shall eat and be satisfied. Those who seek God shall praise the Lord. May your hearts live forever. Our reading continues in the Gospel of Marc. Then he began to teach them that the Son of Man must undergo great suffering and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes, and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. He said all this quite openly, and Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. But turning and looking at his disciples, he rebuked Peter and said, "Get behind me, Satan, for you are setting your mind not on divine things, but on human things." He called the crowd with his disciples and said to them, "If any wish to come after me, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For those who want to save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake and for the sake of the gospel will save it. For what will it profit them to gain the whole world and forfeit their life? Those who are ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of them the Son of Man will also be ashamed, and when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels."
Where you go, I go. Where you stay, I stay. Where you move, I move. I will follow you. All your ways are good. All your ways for sure. I will trust in you alone. Higher than my sight.
We are talking about open and affirming, and Tommy has asked to say a word this morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Most of you know me, and I know most of you, but for those that don't know me, my name is Tomlin Smith. I'm transgender, and I identify as female. I'm up here to speak today about the tragic death of Nex Benedict. They use the pronouns they, them. This happened in Oklahoma. They are a 16-year-old non-binary student from Owasso High School. For those of you who don't know what non-binary means, that means they don't identify as male or female exclusively. On February 7th, Nex was beaten by 3 older students in the restroom of the school. Oklahoma banned trans students from using the general use bathrooms. Reports say that after the assault was broken up, she needed help to go to the office to see the school nurse. The school suspended them for 2 weeks for her part of the fight. Their grandmother took them home. No ambulance was called, and no police report was taken at that time. Her grandmother later took her to the emergency room. The police were called to the hospital, and the report was found dead. They were later released that night. The next morning, they got up and later collapsed. 911 was called, and they stopped because they had stopped breathing. They were pronounced dead at the hospital. Leading transgender and LGBTQAI2S+ groups are calling this a hate crime. They want the Justice Department to investigate it. So do I. The Oklahoma School Superintendent Ryan Walters hired an anti-transgender TikTok social media influencer. Her name is Chaya Rychik, to, in her words, make the district safer by advising and instituting anti-transgender policies concerning the bathrooms, sports participation, and how students should disrespect the students by not using the pronouns the children go by. These are the facts, as I know them from just about every reputable news source I've read. That's Oklahoma. This is Hutchinson, Minnesota. That could happen here. According to legislationtracker.com, as of last Friday, there are 495 anti-transgender bills actively trying to become law in 41 states since January 1st. 14 bills are here in Minnesota. Of those 14, 5 of those bills, the lead author is Glenn Ruben. Some of you probably know him as their state senator for District 17. He is targeting the same things: sports, bathrooms, healthcare, and education. As an insurance salesman, I fail to see where he has any expertise on the subject other than his outdated opinions. I'm only telling you this because that's your tax dollars at work. I know Jill's message today will be about telling us about all the good people and organizations that are desperately trying to defend and protect the LGBTQAI2S+ communities. I applaud them. I support several of them. One is the Trevor Project, trying to prevent transgender teen suicide. There's a lot of work ahead of us, and I'm living scared to death right now because I'm fighting for my life and them too. If any of these federal bills pass, I could be jailed just for being me. Ridiculous. The other day on Facebook, we were paying tribute to Nex when a troll popped onto the Facebook page and said he thinks there should be another Holocaust, this time to the transgender people. I'm appalled at the number of people that replied to it in support of this person's post. Anyway, that is why I'm up here speaking through, even though every fiber of my being dislikes public speaking. My fear of public speaking is far less than the rage and anger I feel right now. For Nex and everyone in the transgender community, we don't deserve this. Nex Benedict was a beautiful soul. They deserved better than this. Her grandmother and guardian has said this about the child. Nex had a light in them that was so big that they had so many dreams. I want their light to keep shining for everyone. That light is so big and bright and beautiful, and I want everyone to remember Nex that way. If you have any questions about this, and would like to talk to me about it, I will always be here to chat for you. Don't be afraid to come and speak to me. I will end this with the words of one of my favorite songs by We Are the Fallen. Under the ash and the lies, something beautiful once here now dies. And the tears burn my eyes, so sleep well, my angel, sleep well. Thank you for this time.
Thanks, Tommy. So, take up your cross and follow me. It's important that we talk about this today in light of growing division in our nation, because what does it mean to take up our cross and follow Jesus? I want this. The UCC has started these support Zooms for clergy, and I was curious about one because they were going to have Paul Nixon as one of their guests, and Paul wrote the book, I Refuse to Lead a Dying Church. And evidently now they are re-editing that and going to put it out again. So he was the guest speaker at this Zoom meeting, and I was caught by this. He said, it used to be that the church lived with a don't rock the boat mentality. That is deadly today. That is deadly today. We have to be able to do the hard things. If not, what is the point of our faith? And so what I want to do is go back a little bit through my almost 30 years in ordained ministry, more than 30 if you count the youth ministry I did while in seminary. Because back when I started, there was very much a don't rock the boat mentality in the church, very much so. We're supposed to get along, Christians are all supposed to be fabulous. There were all of these rising parachurch organizations that were Christian organizations, right? And maybe some of you remember Campus Crusade for Christ and all sorts of folk, and they started coming into schools and they started having, the one that I remember, in my second call, I was invited to sing for a group called the Christian Women's Club, Christian Women's Group. Anybody remember that group? Right? So their rule was, you don't talk politics and you don't talk religion. But by the way, here's the curriculum you can use. Right? And the curriculum always came out of a conservative Christian group. So don't talk religion except what we want you to talk about. So I was invited to sing for them one day, and they asked me to write up a bio. And they read the entire biography as I had written it, word for word, except they left out the one sentence that said, she's the pastor at the UCC church here in town. Right? Too controversial for this woman to be pastor. That's religion taking over. So we were nice. We went along. And eventually, little by little, this conservative faction has said, this is what Christianity is. Because they called themselves non-denominational. So of course they're not into all that divisiveness. And then I was working in between interims, in between calls. I worked for the guy who maintains all of the, used to, before he retired, maintained all of the television towers in northern Minnesota. And it was at the time that we were breaking from analog to digital. And the way he described it to me is that a digital signal is only about 1/5 the size of an analog signal. So for every one station on your television, 4 more could be created. And I had access to the list of who was buying up stations. And guess who? All of the conservative Christian organizations were buying up stations. So you now have the airwaves controlled by a conservative voice. And meanwhile, the progressives are still saying, oh, we have to get along. We have to get along, we can't rock the boat, we have to show Christian unity. And so what happened is that this power has grown in right-wing extremist Christianity, and they claim to be Christianity. And so they took their political issues and said, this is Christianity. And I think for too long we have been nice. I think for too long we have said, don't rock the boat, and the boat needs rocking desperately right now. That's what this movie I'm going to watch about is, this unhealthy collusion between politics and Christianity that they are calling Christian nationalism, and it has nothing to do with the message of Jesus Christ. Nothing to do with the message of Jesus Christ. There is I won't get into the how, right? I don't need to get into the how because we're all seeing it. One of my colleagues said that pastors around the country are being challenged when they preach about the Sermon on the Mount. And people are coming up to their pastors and saying, where are you getting all of these liberal talking points? And they said, well, from the Bible. Well, that just doesn't work anymore. But these are the folk who are claiming that they own Christianity and they own the Christian message. And it's been a slow decay. So, it sounds frustrating, it sounds like we can't do anything except that we can. Because it's a matter of not rocking the boat, it's a matter of being brave, choosing to be brave in the name of the Jesus that we know, choosing to declare ourselves open and affirming. Now, a lot of you were not members when we became open and affirming, so those who were, you can correct anything I get wrong. But when we first started talking about it, people said, well, I thought we already were, right? The UCC in general is open and affirming, the national office is, so why do we need to do that for ourselves? But we went through the process, and we decided, and then we had this discussion when one of our members, who is no longer a member, said, I've been saving these doors, and I saw this church that had these bright colored doors. Should we put them out in front of the church? And we had a discussion about that. In this climate, what does that mean for the church? For the safety of the people in the church? And the decision was pretty much unanimous to go ahead and put those doors out in front, because we have to let people know that there's another way to follow Jesus. There is another way to name yourself a Christian in this world. We don't have to pick through the Bible and find the parts that let us be judge and jury. We can pick through the parts that are about Jesus. We can look at the life of Jesus Christ, look at his love, look at his compassion. We can choose love, and that is what I believe this church does. That's why I stay in this church, because we choose love. We have to choose love, and that often means picking up your cross. Jesus choosing the cross did not start after his betrayal. Jesus chose the cross knowing what he was doing was going to make people angry enough that he could be put on a cross. It takes bravery. And Tommy said I was going to tell some people about some organizations, and of course, I keep saying I'm going to get a poster up, something up, with all these email addresses, and I want you to add to them. The two that I get information from, one is called, what obviously is the Open and Affirming Association of the United Church of Christ. And if you're not following them, you know, sign up on their email list. You will get all of the information about what the Open and Affirming Association is doing. And you'll, yeah. So another one that I was introduced to is Beloved Arise. And Beloved Arise is specifically geared toward adolescents. And it is people of faith. It is to say you can be a person of faith even if you are a member of the LGBTQ plus community. In fact, especially if you are a member of the LGBTQ plus community. You belong here, you are loved, and your faith can carry you through. So those are just two. Like I said, I have a list on my computer of some of these connections. I will pass them on. But what do other people have to say? What organizations are you connected with that are doing good work, linking faith and justice, carrying the cross, if you will? Did I get anything wrong on becoming ONA that you want to comment on? I just will end it then by saying I am so grateful to be in this community, and I am so grateful for your strength and your faith and your willingness to move ahead in what we believe, even when that means taking up the cross and knowing that it makes us unpopular in certain circles, even though it makes us in danger in some place, because we stand with those who are in real danger. Tommy, and thank you for being brave and standing up today, because we don't want that to happen again. Peace.
Adiós, vivimos.
Loving God, we thank you for your presence in our lives. And we ask for strength as each of us decides in what way we take up our cross. For some, it will be big gestures. For others, it will be small, everyday witness. Lead us. On this day, we lift prayers for all those who have been harmed for being just who they are. May our hearts so exude that they all know we all hold you in the light of Christ. Our hearts ache with all those who are fighting with depression and anxiety. And we hope that they also know we hold you
in the light
in
of
the light of
Christ.
Christ. And there is joy as well for new grandbaby Theodore Cooper Johnson. We celebrate with Karen and hope that they all know we hold you in the light of Christ. Are there additional prayers to be lifted this morning?
Here's for those that have financial hardships.
For all of those who are struggling financially, please know we hold you in the light of Christ. Loving God, surround us. Jesus, lead us. Spirit, strengthen us for the journey ahead. And hear us now as we pray together. Creator of all that is, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Would you stand and let's sing together?
Will you come from me?
I will call your name. Will you go where you are? And never leave your us in this place. The Spirit of the risen Christ will go with each and every one of us as we leave this place. So carry that Spirit in the depth of your being and let it burst forth that everyone will know the love of God. Go, and may the peace of Christ go with you. Amen.